What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is Chris OG, back to my Bloodborne playthrough. I'm hyped up. I'm excited. I don't know why, honestly. Oh, I know why. Because I know how to say the next boss's name. I had to actually Google that shit because I did not know how to say Amygdala. That is how you say his name, by the way. Or her, or its name, I should say. It's it. I don't know if it's a he or she, but it's definitely an it. So, Amygdala. I was going through, I was like, how do I say that word? So I had to Google it. So I didn't sound like a complete idiot, but now I sound like an idiot because I told you all that I Googled it. Way to go. I used all my brain power to know that word, so if I mess up any other words, it's because I used all of my power just to remember that one word. And I'll probably stutter saying it in a minute. But that's the next boss. It's the boss of the Nightmare Frontier. Amygdala. Very interesting boss. We kind of make our way over to him right now, and I kind of look at some interesting things. The first thing you're going to see me kind of look at is his boss arena. It's got an ancient look to it, very alien, ancient kind of likeness to it. Very, I don't know, when you look at it, you just feels old, but at the same time a little alien. So it's very weird. You see the archway right here I just go under right now. It has an archway just like that. These elevators, it's different, right? And you can tell that maybe it has to do with being in a nightmare, maybe it has to do with other things, but it's definitely not real world, right? It doesn't have that feeling anyway. There's nothing that really gives that feeling off in this area. So just keep an eye out for that, just to kind of, maybe it's just something interesting. I don't know. Like, there might not be too much lore with it, but it's just very interesting. And then we'll take a look at his little building behind him. It's just a tower, really, and at the top, and most of it's got statues sticking out, like instead of gargoyles, it's like little versions of him. It's kind of cute. It's got little cute statues of him sticking out, trying to be a badass, throwing it out there. And then on the sides right here, in the last episode I said that they were church tops, but I put in a notation, in a note, saying that I'm an idiot and apparently I'm dumb, and that they look like flags, or you could say like sails on a ship. They look more like sails to me. But I guess you could be like, they're really big battle flags. I don't know why they would be bad. It'd be just the weirdest thing if they were battle flags to me. We'll take a look at them here in a second. I want to take another look too. So I turn right here and I look at it. So let's look at them. They just look like masts with sails, right? I mean, that's just what it looks like. I don't think flags are really a good idea, but they could be like spears. You know what I'm saying? Like those. I don't know, but they'll be really huge, like battle flags if they were. Be very interesting, but I really think they look more like sails, boat sails. I see the top of something over here, and in fact, if you go around this thing, you can get a better look at it, and we're actually going to go there a little bit later. And before I talk about Amygdala, yeah, FromSoft, screw you. Alright, the next area is by far one of the most BS areas in the game. And I'm not saying that just because it's tough, I'm just saying that because it is truly BS. And it is tough. It is tougher than, like, this whole game so far hasn't been too rough getting around, and that area was just like complete BS, especially with the frenzy. And then you have wolves that have worms that come out of them. The worms aren't, it's not the worms are hard to, well, they are hard to kill, but it's not that they have like a ton of HP or high defense. It's just they're really hard to hit, at least with your weapon. Maybe I'm just an idiot, I need to use something else, but right now it was a pain in the ass trying to kill those and friend. You'll see how I get through it. I do die a couple times, I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna get to see it all. Uncut, no remastered. This is straight exactly what happened. Me being frustrated as I went through it. I actually just started. I made, I think, what the best plan is through that area. So as you see, Amygdala, you've seen these guys hanging around town. They, like I said, when looking at, I'm trying to see if like he's actually physically different than the other ones. To me, it looks like it. Like, it looks like you can see where his eyes are on his head, while the other ones you couldn't really tell. So it kind of makes me think he is, or it is, kind of the badass version of the other ones. And what I really want to see is if I go back to the Unseen Village after I kill him, is there another one just like him, or was that the same one, right? Will I go back and am I able to explore that area a little bit more, or kind of what's going on with that, right? It's freaking cool. I like that. It's creepy, but it's cool, like how the eyeballs all pop out and stuff. It's just really strange. He does look a little bigger than the other ones too, but the other ones were pretty massive as well. So as you notice, I'm aiming for its head. That is its weak point. And the third phase right here, it rips off her arms, I guess, and tries to use them to extend. It kind of reminds me of the giant fight in Dark Souls 2, and where it rips off its arms to get a better reach on you. But if you stick close on the third phase, you should be able to hit its legs. Up to the third phase, your best bet is trying to hit its head. What I did was I rolled into it. I tried to get it to attack, and I rolled into it, and then when I did, I'd turn around and try to hit it in its face. If like kind of like I'm doing right there, except in the previous phases, I didn't really aim for the legs. I did swing at the legs a couple times. It doesn't do a lot of damage. The head does the most damage, so really try your best to aim for the head. Right there, he stopped me. I died instantly. It was an insta-kill. So we're headed back over there. I don't know why I didn't cut right to where I entered it, because I don't think I do anything different here. You can see what I was looking at. If you look up at the top right there, you can see the little area that I'm going to be going to. That's called the Nightmare of Mensis. So it's very interesting. From the Nightmare of Frontier, you can see the Nightmare of Mensis, and the thing that's connecting the two is the lecture building. So again, I believe the lecture building is not part of Bergenworth. I believe it's part of what would be called the School of Mensis. It's their lecture building, because if you look at all the notes and stuff that are going on in there, they're learning about the history of everything that's going on. That's why you get a lot of the stuff about Master Wilhelm Master Wilhelm was right, and you get things about like, you know, it just seems like they're all taking notes. If you really read them and then think that this is a student taking notes, and a lot of it would make more sense, I believe. So back to Amygdala. That's how you kind of take them out. Amygdala, however, let's talk a little bit more about the lore, is your emotion center of your brain. So actually all of us have an amygdala. Interesting. We all have this monster inside of us. Amazing. But it also stands for almond and tonsil. And remember that the thing about this area is there's two ways to get here. One was the way I took, which was through the school, and you had to get to the bottom floor. But if you want to get here earlier, you get that tonsil stone. And that tonsil stone, when you stand in front of the one, okay, if you go to the main cathedral and you go when you're facing out from the doors towards the city, and if you go left and you go fight those two hunters down in that little area, that little like fountain area, and then you kind of go past that, you fight the two big executioners, and then you get past that, and then you get into that area with the bath that you teleport to when you get to Rom. That thing, that amygdala, I guess most people are calling it a lesser amygdala. When you get to that guy, if you have the tonsil stone, he won't kill you when you grab it. He'll actually teleport you here instead. And that's one way to get here. So you can get here a lot earlier, or you can wait till you get to the part where I did, and then you can come here. And as you can tell, when I got here, I was a little bit over leveled, I think, because I was taking a lot of things out in like 2 shots. But if you go there earlier in the game, it'd be a little bit more difficult, I think, especially this boss fight. It would be a little bit more tough. So that's how you can get here. And like I said, and that's the reason why I said all that, was because you need the tonsil stone to get here. And amygdala is actually Latin for tonsil or almond, which kind of makes sense in both ways, because their head kind of looks like a little bit of like an almond. It has an almond shape. The amygdala in your brain is an almond shape. Your tonsils actually look a lot like that as well. Little hole on it. So it's just all of them kind of make sense to me in the name, but I believe that for lore purposes, I think he's more about the part of your brain than anything else. I think it was more like a translation thing when it came to the tonsil stone. It's kind of cool though. I like the way it could have been called almond stone, I guess. It would make no difference. But I think, like I said, that's just a translation thing. He's more about your emotion side of your brain, that kind of thing, the part that might create a nightmare. And I think that's just the way they named it. I don't know if you can go any further than that. It's just something interesting to think about as you think about him and what he represents in the game. Which is also funny, because he's an optional boss. You don't have to fight this guy at all if you don't want to. He is completely optional. You don't have to touch him and fight him. But he kind of gives, I think, a little bit more insight into what the nightmare is. And what that is right now, I have no idea. I know probably more about the Nightmare of Mensis than I do really about what this frontier area is. You know, why? But the cool, like the things I think about though when I see him are, okay, where are him and his lackeys, right? Where are they located? Right? You see a bunch in the Unseen Village, right? There's a ton there. So and then you get into the nightmare from the Unseen Village. So that kind of ties in there. Okay, that makes a little sense, right? But then you see one guarding the door outside. Okay, that's cool. He's guarding the way in. He doesn't want anybody just to walk in. And if he does, he sends you to his boss in his little area. So, okay, maybe that makes a little sense. But then you see one, and there's only one that I've seen outside inside the city of Yarnum, and it's the one hanging on the cathedral ward, which is really weird that it's just chilling there. And why there? Why on the cathedral ward? Remember, if you go up to that set of hunter gear, he kind of tries to grab you. Now, I don't know if that's just like a little trap or whatnot, but I might go back there and inspect that area a little bit more, try to figure out why he tries to grab you right there, what's the reasoning behind that. And then on top of that, remember that when you go to the main cathedral and you have to go fight, what's her face? Vicar, or Vicar, Vicar Amelia. You have to, you walk through the first entrance and you see just a bunch of statues of them, left and right. So, and like we remember in the Unseen Village, we got a key that says the upper echelons of the church are made up of the choir and the school of menses. So it makes sense that I guess these statues are there. To me, I'm like, really, if I saw, if I saw these creatures in real life, like, let's just say I got enough insight, I was able to see them, would I create a church of these monsters? I don't know. But I guess when you see things like that, it's just interesting. Like, it's just like in my mind, I don't know if you can really think like this, where I'm just like, why would anybody? I think most people would be like, that's a demon. Why am I thinking like something wrong with me? Instead of being like, let's build a church around that thing. That's awesome. But then again, it could be a lot about what they found in Bergenworth first, so that they know that they're great ones, and this is a great one that they want to entice, I guess, and create whatever their motives are. And that's kind of the hard part about the church right now for me, is trying to figure out what the hell is the Healing Church motive? Like, what is their point? What are they trying to do? It's not, they didn't want to turn everybody into beasts, I don't think. Are they trying to get, to me, I really think they created hunters. They created some hunters to go kill people because they didn't want the scourge of the beast. The beasts are actually a problem to them, because the beasts are actual things that could just annihilate them because they have no control over them. So they have hunters that do that, right? Kill the beast. But then I believe they also have hunters that go after that go after the infant great ones, and then they want their umbilical cords. That sounds so weird saying that, but remember, you get that note inside Bergenworth that says hunt the great ones. I believe that's their whole motive, and it may even started with Bergenworth and what they wanted to do. They wanted to hunt these great ones to get those umbilical cords, because those are the things that can transcend humans into becoming great ones themselves. So that's the whole reasoning behind that. Now, if you go through the game, you notice that kind of every like known organization, I'll call it organizations, have their own hunters. School Menses has their hunters, the church has its hunters. Bergenworth, I think, had hunters, or they used old hunters. You know, they kind of what started hunters out, I guess. That's what maybe Germán was a hunter for Bergenworth. And then you have like old Yarnum had hunters, and then who knows, like, but it seemed like everywhere there were hunters for each one, right? And to me, the church is using them right now to get umbilical cords. That's kind of my guess, right? That kind of leads me down into what this is like. Well, I guess it doesn't really lead me there. I'm kind of still talking about it. We can also really, so the school of Menses, it seems to be a lecture building to me. And it's, like I said, it's not a Bergenworth. I said that earlier. But to me, it's more of a continuation of what Bergenworth was doing, right? They seem to be really looking into what Bergenworth was doing, and they're trying to, like, get as much information from there. And that's why whenever you go through the lecture building, you see a lot of stuff that you saw at the Bergenworth College. When you visit it with Willem and Rom, you see a lot of the same stuff. Now, to me, the same architecture, the same design isn't there. There seems to be a lot, and like I said, there's a lot of stuff where it just seems like these are students learning about the history of the area that they're in, and they're trying to really figure out this great one thing. Maybe they have their own motives. They're going to be like they said, Willem was right. Without courage, there's no evolution, or whatever that note said. But they're kind of like, well, we're not going to do it like him, though. And we're gonna kind of do it our own way, or maybe they're gonna do the same thing and just in a different way. But they didn't learn, is what I'm saying, because of what happened to Bergenworth. Look what happened. We don't really know exactly what occurred, but we do know that their shit went to hell. rather quickly. And I also believe you can tell that they were experimenting, and I think Master Villain was really experimenting on humans to get eyeballs on his brain. Like, that's just the way it looks, right? Every enemy you see there, whether it be the snake guys or the mosquito guys or fly guys, whatever you want to call them, they all seem to have some sort of body, human body attached to them, and their heads are all jacked up, right? Whether it's a bunch of snakes or a bunch of eyeballs on a fly, something's wrong. But it looks like some kind of human experimentation going on in that area. Could have been what ultimately led to the downfall. Maybe that's what Rom is trying to do, is like being the hero and sacrifices herself to, even though she's empty and she's not a complete great one, she's trying to sacrifice herself just to help stop the madness that's going on by becoming mad herself. And it kind of freezes everything. And the problem is as Rom exists, future generations of whatever is going on, you can't really see or figure out figure out what she was actually trying to block from getting out, right? Maybe. That's one like really not great explanation, but that could be. But we do know, if you minus all that other crap I said at the end, we do know that Bergenworth went to shit, right? So School of Menses is like, well, let's learn everything they did, but let's not make sure our shit goes to shit. However, if you notice around them that their shit went to shit too. So whatever everybody's doing is not a good thing. It's definitely not helping anyone out. What that happens to be right now, I believe, is that they just want these umbilical cords because they want to ascend and become great ones themselves, but they need these cords to do so. Cord of the eyes, remember, cord of the eyes, so everything around that eyeball. So right now, to me, the School of Mensis is the problem. That is what is the problem. It seems like where this game is leading to be the problem. Whatever they're doing or whatever they helped get done is a problem. So we got, real quick, we got this Augur of Abriatus. I don't know how to say that either. Remnant of Eldritch Truth encountered at Bergenworth. Use phantasms, the invertebrates known to be augurs of the Great Ones, to partially summon abandoned Abriatus. The initial encounter marked the start of an inquiry into the cosmos from within the old labyrinth and led to the establishment of the choir. I think key thing from this is abandon Abriatus. It's abandoned. Like, they found it and they were like, ooh, cool. And then they were like, oh, well, you're not what we're looking for, but thanks for the help. I think that's kind of the way to take that great one, is like, they found it, they revered it maybe for a little bit. Cool, you're awesome, we're going to use your powers, but we really aren't looking for you. But you're proof that something else exists. And that's kind of the way I'm taking that. And that's kind of where the choir came from, is that they found this. This was before the choir, right? They found it, and then they were like, okay, there's something else out there. There's something better, something from the cosmos. And this is where they start going into the realm of the cosmos and all that great stuff. And they're like, well, that's cool. You're awesome. Thanks for showing us that. But, and they kind of like used it and maybe experiment on it. Who knows what they did with it. And then they were like, you know what? You're not what we're looking for. So let us continue. Anyways, that's kind of my idea about that. Hopefully, I think if I remember right, you actually do get to fight it sometime, but I don't know if it's on the main path or if it's some secret path, but I do know you get to go in that direction. I think it's where that key leads to, actually, the one that leads to the upper cathedral. So we're gonna have to check that out before we end the game. I'm definitely gonna try to check out the secret areas and the, well, I should say more like optional areas. Not too many. They're not really secret. This is the Nightmare of Mensis. Look how creepy it is. You can tell it's definitely not realistic because all the rocks look like skulls. And if someone in real world actually spent all their time to make that, one, kudos to them. They're really amazing. Even though they're really creepy, they're really awesome. And two, yeah, that would take probably years upon years to chisel that shit out. So we know we're definitely in some kind of crazy nightmare. Remember this whole area is built off someone we touched back in Yargul. So this area is the one area where you can obviously be like, this is somewhere fake in someone's mind, whether you're in someone's mind or someone's actual nightmare, whatnot. This place isn't actually real. Yeah. Back to this School of Mensis being the main culprit to me right now. See, these worms are assholes. I have to stop talking. I have to talk about these assholes. Look how asshole they are. Look how hard they're hit. Maybe I need a better weapon. That might be true. You know, there might be a better idea. Probably a dex weapon. I bet the whip is really good at taking care of these damn things. The axe is great for most of the game until you get to this point. Anyways, back to the Mensis again, being the culprit before I like start sidetracking on another tangent. there were a lot of mad people before, right? Well, you could say Willem was mad. Lawrence or Gurmon may have been mad. We don't really know, but we know one of them more than likely probably was. I want to say Gurmon, more than likely, because you find the goddamn umbilical cord in his little area, so I'm saying he's the one that went mad. But Lawrence could have been too. He's the one provoking the goddamn moon presence. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the choir is probably going mad in the school. So, but the school menses right now, which you can say is partly the choir, because it seems like they kind of have the same thing, it is the one we're really going. This is the area that's going to end the game, right? After we get through here, whatever happens, like I said, I've been through some of it already. I'm definitely thinking this is end game, right? Whatever happens after this is going to lead to the end of the game. So, let's walk down that path a little bit. Kind of see what are we trying to do? Remember the whole point of the game, right? The first thing you do is you wake up. And you could talk to this guy in a wheelchair, and then you wake up from all that. You make your character, blah blah, all that stuff. You get some blood of Yarnum, supposedly. He says you need a little blood of Yarnum. Cool, whatever. You wake up, and the first note you read on the chair, it believes it says seek Paleblood to transcend the hunt. All right, cool, mission. This is bullshit. But yeah. The bullshit was the wolf blowing fire on me. Not bullshit is what I'm not saying now. No, what I'm saying isn't bullshit. It could be bullshit. You can call it bullshit. That's fine. But yeah, so the first thing note you see is seek Paleblood to transcend the hunt. Then I don't think you see really another note until you get to the dream world, the hunter's dream. And then it says, I believe that one says, to escape this hunter's dream, halt the scourge of the beast, lest the night carry on forever. Now, there's a key thing right there. Seek Paleblood to transcend the hunt, right, is not the same thing as saying to escape the hunter's dream, halt the scourge of beast, lest the night carry on forever. In my mind, I always for some reason I tied those two things together. Like that, those two things are what I need to do, or they're the same thing. I don't know why in my mind I think those are the same thing. One is talking about transcending the hunt, which it's never said that that's the end of the game. And the other one says the halt of the scourge of the beasts. And that really, that seems to be your main goal, right? That's your goal. You find that in the hunter's dream, right? So whoever built the hunter's dream wants you to know that that's your end goal. You need to end the scourge of the beast. Right now, the problem with the beast seems to be the church. And if we believe that that's true, then we know that the choir and the school of menses is the main problem. Thus why we're here, and I think this is end game. So end game to me means that we got to destroy the church. We got to figure out what's causing the scourge of the beast, or what's the whole problem behind it. Basically end the church. Now, why does the great one, which I believe is the dream worlds, have to be created by great ones? That's just that fucking worms. That to me makes the most sense, right? Like the humans, maybe they have to use the humans to create the dream world. Like they can't dream themselves, so they have to use humans to make these dream worlds. That might make sense. There's nothing that really supports that, but that makes sense. That can make some sense. But I know the hunter's dream is not like Gurmon's like ability to create a false world. It has to be run by something. Just like this nightmare is run by something. Just like Yarnum may be run by something. Who knows, right? But these places, these dreams, have to be technically run by something. And I think that's just known by the way the game works, right? It seems like every time you go into one of these areas always have great ones involved in it, or they always have something there. Now, necessarily when you kill them doesn't mean it's the end of the place, because the place exists in another realm and it's existed, right? And it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of weird to explain. Like, it's not like a dream where you just wake up and it's gone. It's more like a dream where you wake up and it still can exist. Like, now you've created that world, and that world now exists, regardless if you're awake or not. I think of it like that, I guess. I don't know. There's ways to explain it. That's not the point. The point is that there's great ones in these places, and I believe the hunter's dream has one. And what that one thing is the thing that Lawrence was beckoning, and that would be the moon presence, I think is what it calls. Now, if you remember that note, I'm not going off a limb here, but I'm going off by the way it sounds. You saw the note inside Bergenworth, and it says, their nameless moon presence beckoned by Lawrence and his associates, Paleblood. That's all that note says. I'm thinking the moon presence is named Paleblood. That's the name of the moon essence. Right now, that's what I think. There's other way. You also have the note that says Paleblood Sky. It's coming of the moon. It's the one note that says Paleblood Sky. You know, that means to me you're getting a sky that's bringing on the moon presence. Seek Paleblood to transcend the hunt. That was interesting to me because a minute ago I was just talking about how to escape the hunter's dream, halt the school of the beast, cool. Seek Paleblood to transcend the hunt. That's different. That's something else, right? And I think I need an audience with the moon presence to transcend whatever I'm doing. So after I beat the Scourge, maybe I get an audience with him, and maybe I got to kick his ass, or maybe something else happens, or I get a choice. Maybe I get to light the first bonfire, or not light the first bonfire. Who knows, right? But I believe that's kind of where this game is headed, is towards that. And I think that's what it means, seek Paleblood to transcend the hunt. Paleblood is the moon, right? Regardless if it's the moon in here, and the moon in the dream world, and the moon in wherever, that's why it's Paleblood Sky. Regardless of where the moon is, it's still the moon presence, right? It's not just the moon presence in the dream. The moon presence exists everywhere. The question is why is the moon presence wanting to kill all the other great ones? Like, why does he create hunters and create this place to harbor hunters to go after these guys? Is it because he wants to hunt the great ones, or is it because he wants to stop the church, right? But to stop the church, he needs to kill the great ones that either the church created or that they're after. Because to me, there's something there to do with power, and I don't know what that exact thing is. It has something to do with those umbilical cords, I'm almost positive, but there's something to do with power there that he doesn't want other people to have, and I think that's the reasoning behind it. It's kind of selfish, right? And he's using this hunter's dream to get these hunters to do it for him, and that's the purpose of the hunters from the dream world. That's why they're different. There's other hunters, right? There's the black and white hunters. There's the hunters from Yargul, and they're all different. They don't go when they die. They don't go to the hunter's dream. They don't go to that place. Those guys are different. For you though, for some reason you're on this this thing. Remember the little spider guy said that you're never ending. You always keep coming back, and that's because of the hunter's dream. You're tied to this world that lets you do that. And that kind of explains the respawn and all that stuff. There's kind of an explanation for your lore and things of that nature. So it's very interesting to kind of think of it. This essence doesn't want this to exist because he doesn't want us maybe to transcend into the great ones, or he wants to stop us from doing so. Because who knows, right? He doesn't like us for some reason. We're using great ones to do that, maybe. Who knows what the reasoning behind it is. But the Paleblood, the moon, doesn't want that to happen. And then I think Cosmos, like I said, you'll hear a little bit about him, I think, in the next episode, is something even beyond that, right? He might be the greatest of the great ones. Now, the thing about using you to do its bidding isn't something unknown of in these games, especially if you look at Demon Souls. Remember, Demon Souls, the old great one used demons to do its bidding, to gather all the souls, right? It's kind of the same thing. The moon presence is using you to gather all the blood echoes to make itself more awesome. It's like a simple answer to something that I think a lot of people are making super complex. But then again, maybe the answer is complex. Maybe it's way more than that. Maybe it's deeper than that. But right now, it just seems like this guy's an asshole, and he's using you. And I don't know exactly. Like I said, I know there's 3 endings. I said that in a previous episode. I don't know what they are or what happens, but to me, the choices are there, and you get to choose what you want to do. More than likely, 2 of those choices is either you fight him or you become his bitch. But I don't know what the other third choice is or what that could be. So it's gonna be interesting, and to figure out how all that works is gonna be interesting. But I do believe the umbilical cords are the reason why, and he doesn't want people to keep getting them, and that's why he wants you to end this play. Otherwise, he wouldn't give a shit. If this was going on, he'd be like, whatever, I don't care. But for some reason, he cares, or there's a reason why he cares. And if it's not that, then there's something else. But there's a reason why he wants you to stop this madness. And I don't know if I got it in this game or if I'm going to get this in this game. I might have to go back to the dream world, check it out, and come back here. But I need to find the part where you go and you listen to Gurmon's dream, You listen to one of his dreams, and he's like literally freaking out. He's like, "Someone come help me!" Whether it's Lawrence or Willem, someone please help me. So you know he's here, not under his own will, and for some reason he's trapped in this world, and he doesn't want to be here. He seems to be scared. It's kind of it's a little interesting to think of all this in that way, and to really try to figure out, and like I'm saying, I don't know why. I just think that his name is Paleblood. To me that makes sense. Like, it's just that note really, to me, puts it out. The nameless moon presence beckoned by Lawrence and his associates, Paleblood. Like, even though it's 2 sentences, it just seems like, if you think about it as a kid taking notes or as a student taking notes, to me that's just like how you would do that. Like, and you could be like, I don't know, man, my throat is like dying on me now. It's too much. But like, to seek Paleblood, to send the hunt, all those things kind of just tie into each other, and just kind of makes me feel like that. Now, that's just like one part of the game. There are like ages in this game, and that's what's really gonna be interesting if I make any videos about the end lore and all that stuff and what I think is going on. I may have to break it into like ages, because there's like at least 4. You break in like 4 big ages. Stuff that happened before the labyrinth was found, right? Which involves like the Thumerians, the Watchers, Loron, all the stuff you basically find when you do the Chalice dungeons would be the stuff before. Then you have Bergenworth, and when they found the labyrinth. Then you have what happened in Yharnam, whether it's what happened with Old Yharnam and the beginning of the Hunters and things like that. And then you kind of have the stuff that's going on now, right, at this moment, because that's, I believe, later down the road. And then if you wanted, you could be like the future, but there's not probably much on that. I haven't seen anyway. So like, breaking them into ages and then talking maybe about each age, and then maybe coming together and making one full video might be the best idea. I haven't really figured out how I want to pronounce, say what I want to think, because there's a ton of stuff to make all the connections and things like that. But I do want to try to use my best, all the stuff in the game, things to kind of back it up. But like I said, even the stuff you use to back up what you think happened can ultimately can be ultimately, like, even if I say like this item says this, there's many ways to take that item and what it means. Look at this asshole. God. That is man. I'm telling you. Oh, the other thing is, I think I talked about this a little bit on the last, are those dark beasts, and I did find out in one of the Chalice dungeons that, remember Irreverent Izzy, how I said I thought that was the guy inside of Yargul, and I think more than likely now it is, because in one of the Chalice dungeons you find his claw, or I found his claw in a Chalice dungeon. I don't know if it's necessarily always in that one or not, but I found his claw, and the claw says this is one of the tools used by Irreverent Izzy. Very interesting. The cool thing about it is his trick weapon turns your other hand into an actual claw, and it's a pretty cool looking weapon, so I might mess around with that a little bit. And supposedly it bumps up your beasthood as you use it. Very interesting. That's really like the only 2 things. Like, there's only 2 things. We find the one magic spell, and then you find that one item, and that's all I found about Irreverent Izzy as of right now. But he was apparently in love with dark beasts. Archibald was apparently in love with dark beasts. That might explain why they were seen and unseen village, because if these guys right here from the Nightmare are the dark beasts that they're talking about, because they're the only ones I've seen use electricity, and that seem, I guess, quote unquote natural more than anything else, then that's the place to be, would be in the Unseen Village, to see those, because that's where the Nightmare led. And that also makes me wonder, did Archibald end up in the Nightmare? Izzy doesn't seem like he did. Looks like he kind of missed out on that opportunity, but Archibald could have been in here. You fight a hunter in here, but I don't think it's Archibald, because he doesn't use like any of his weapons. In fact, I haven't met him yet. He might be in a Chalice dungeon though. But back to, yeah, like I said, I met Ludwig there, and he called him a mad hunter, so that means he didn't actually turn into a beast. He actually gained some insight and became, maybe he was the first you, right? Because he seems to be revered as a hero, so he may have been one of like your first versions of a person deciding the fate and helping, either helping or hurting. I guess in the end he ended up doing whatever would make the moon repeat everything all over again. That's the other thing, is like if the moon presence, let's call it that right now. Let's not even say it's Paleblood. Say the moon present. If that's the whole reason behind what he's doing, is because he's trying to stop us, or stop the church from doing what it's doing, why doesn't he just end it? Like, why doesn't he just end us? Or is it because he wants more? He wants power. So he's like, hey, this is a cool idea. Maybe if I just keep cycling this shit over and over again, I always get this hunter guy who can end up destroying everything, and then I can use him and gain all his powers by killing him or taking him over. And then I can become more powerful, and I can become a better, like, if you think about it, what stops, why does a great one just stop and go, oh, I'm done, I'm a great one, there's no reason for me to gain more power? Why would they do that? I mean, we're humans, and look at our human guys, they're trying to gain all this great one and all this power. What stops a great one from being like, you know what, I need more power too? So this game seems to be full about just people wanting to become more powerful, I mean, including your own guy. That's your whole point. You're playing, every time you play, you just want more blood echoes, more power, more ability to do stuff. All part of what the game is setting up. You know, everybody seems to be doing that. Remember, what was that saying? That that note said that true enlightenment need not be shared, right? So kind of think of that, right, as kind of a saying, kind of to describe not just one thing, not just Rom or what he was doing, but kind of describe everything that's going on. That there really is selfishness, right? And there's no reason to share all this knowledge and all this ability. We really are just trying to really become better ourselves at things. But you know, maybe your hero can change that. Maybe your character is the one that's able to stop all this craziness from happening, all this great one stuff going on. The other thing is, really to talk about it, is like the real world, and then you got the dream world, and then you got the nightmare. Are they all? I mean, they got to be different, right? I think Willem talks about different planes of existence, or different planes, I should just say. He says different planes. He didn't say planes of existence, but different planes. To put your eyes on a different plane. Or is that what he's talking about? Is that what he means by different plane? Is that he's saying that there's these dream worlds and these different areas that exist, and for us to even understand it, we need eyes, right? We need to figure out how to do it. Now, I think what ends up happening is the school of Mensis, instead of going, oh, well, we need eyeballs, they go, well, there's another way to reach it, and that's by putting cages over your face and basically starving yourself. And that's another way to reach, maybe not necessarily a great one, but to understand the other planes, to suffer, right? And it seems like either way is really the main idea, is to suffer. Like, it seems like you need to suffer to reach these planes, to understand what's actually going on, and to understand what's happening. I get a shaman bone here, which kind of references stuff you find inside the chalice dungeons. It says a blade of bone coated with gruesome spinal fluid used by old labyrinth watchers, in particular those presiding over rituals. When a victim is cut by this blade, the green spinal fluid temporarily numbs the senses, disturbing the target's gross motor skills. The blade, never intended for battle, must cut deep to be effective and breaks. So this blade, again, not intended for battle. So what are these rituals where you need to make something numb or go dead? Right? That's kind of what that, to me, is alluding to a little bit, is that it's saying that these rituals that they were doing, these old labyrinth watchers, they needed to make things go numb for some reason, or to kind of tap out, which is very, very interesting, because it's not used for battle. That wasn't why they used it. They had to use it for something that didn't want to fight back, and they used it for that reason. Old labyrinth watchers. So when you go down to the see this hunter guy, he's holding Ludwig's sword, it looks like, but he's using like some spray, which is weird. So I don't know exactly who this guy is, or what he's doing. He's very generic looking too. At least to me, he looks very generic. Maybe he is like a version of Ludwig. I'm not 100% sure. I don't exactly remember. The one I said in the Chalice dungeon was different. He has his holy sword, or what looks to be his holy sword. It doesn't look as holy on him. It looks really dark looking on him. It's like Shadow Ludwig or, or something. I don't know. It's very weird. That freaking spray is insane. It is an insane weapon. It does a lot of damage here in a minute. The way I win this is very stupid too. You're about to see. I wasn't paying attention to my my health. That's what ended up happening right there. Yes, double KO. Awesome. Amazing. What a fight. What a fight. That kind of sums up everything in this area. I hate this area. I really do. One of the things about the Nightmare I also wanted to point out, not this one, but the Nightmare Frontier, I kind of didn't actually talk about it, but I kind of just remembered right now, is that it's one of the only areas actually it's the only area in the game I know of that is daytime. Like, the sun's out. If you go back over there, unless you're just like on the moon and the moon's like blowing up right up in your face, it really looks like daytime. But you don't see the sun anywhere. Like, it doesn't exist. It's just daytime. It's a really weird night. Like, this is a nightmare. Where we're at right now, this is what I would consider a nightmare. Scary ass monsters, bricks made of skull faces, big ass building that's dark and gloomy. Skies are dark and gloomy. Areas whole just scary looking. Very nightmare, right? Go to the Nightmare Frontier, and it's not so much. there's still some scary monsters, right? But it's bright. There's a lot of cool looking stuff. There's graves and things like that. There's a rocky area. Something I would maybe consider barren, but not much more of an... Like, if I dreamt that tonight, like that area, I probably wouldn't be scared. There would be things that may spook me and I may fight in my dream, but nothing really would downright scare me. Now, this area would be scary as hell in a dream. Like, I'd be like, oh my god, there's eyeballs everywhere. There's eyeballs on buildings. There's a big gloomy building. This thing is shooting frenzy stuff at me. I have to run. Like, there'd be just so much stuff that would be creepy. Man, I almost died right here. All these spiders chase you, by the way. So if you decide to run through that spider room, the only one that doesn't is the big one. But yeah, so it's very interesting. I can't really give much of a symbolism why that nightmare is bright and sunny and this one is so dark. And other than that, it's the frontier, and the frontier is kind of like the boundary between two zones. Now, whether that's the boundary between Yharnam and the area or the real world in the area, it's hard to tell, like, what that boundary is. From, like, if you get past that area, if you, like, let's say you just jump, and obviously you jump off, that's not what happens. You die and you end up back in your dream. But if you could get past it, would you end up back in the real world, or would you end up in Yharnam, or just in a purgatory? Like, where would you actually end up? But it's definitely the boundary to something, because it's one of the most sunny areas in the game. The last time it was that bright was the very beginning of the game, and it was just getting dark then. So it's an interesting little area, that's for sure. This area now is also very interesting because you end up in here, and I don't think you see those little. You'll see one here in a minute. What do I get right here? I think I get like a sedative or a blue elixir or something. Oh, yellowback one. We looked at that already. That was the thing you remember we get from the one reborn, which also points out that they're doing these things for hunts for some reason. They want those umbilical cords, and I'm pretty positive that's why they're trying to get these things to exist. For these umbilical cords. How that all works out yet, I'm not 100% sure. I have to think about it a little bit more. But then you got the one reborn. They're trying to get these great ones to give them their love. And then they want to hunt them and get those cords from them so that they can become more powerful. That seems to be the gist of it. And as they do it, they want more and more from it. It's just very... that just seems legit, because we get those notes that say that and all, and then you get actually multiple ingredients that, well, for Chalice dungeons that say that's the reasoning behind it, is for that. But yeah, this area right here, you got these little mechanical dolls you don't see anywhere else in the game. You only see right here. Remember, this area is called, like, the very bottom area is called the Loft of Murgo. And then the middle area is like the Middle Murgo's Castle or something like that. The question is Murgo, right? Who is Murgo? Is it a great one? Murgo. Is it a great one, or is it more than likely it's a great one. It's a version of a great one, was a great one, is a great one, wants to be a great one. We don't know that yet, because I haven't got to the end of this place. but I'm almost positive it's some sort of gray one. Now, here's something interesting also, is this big fat guy. When I first saw him, I was like, oh shit, I hit my mic. I never noticed that these guys, when I first looked at him, I was like, these guys look exactly like the Watchers that you see down in the Chalice dungeons. Now, in the Chalice dungeons, you see the Watchers a lot. First of all, they can be a boss fight where you have to fight 3 of them, and their names are called something, the Watcher, like Shaman Watcher, and all this different things. So you know that's who they are. Then you also fight them a ton before, especially in the Thumerian dungeons. You fight them before switches. You fight them before treasure chests. They're kind of like the guardians of it in that dungeon. In the second dungeon, it's a big night thing, and I don't know if those are considered Watchers or not yet, but they're different. But like I said, they could be the same thing, just a different form. So this area, if I go down there and fight it, yeah, I was like, oh cool, I'm about to fight one of these from down under, from Australia, and when I fought it, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't exactly what I find in the labyrinth. This is a human being in like a big fat suit that's meant to look like a Watcher. If you remember, you actually get an armor piece from, look at this guy. Look. If you go down to the Chalice dungeons, this is kind of what they look like. Minus, and you see the reason why it's like, wait a minute, that's a human. Look at those little teeny feet in there, in that big ass suit. So I don't know if they're pretending to be Watchers to get that feeling of hope. I didn't really look at his chest piece either, but it looks like the top of the key from the choir. So are they just trying to look like them, trying to be like them? Like trying to mimic, the idea of what they are. It's very interesting. And then, like I said, you get that grave suit, and it says that the face mimics the Watchers, and the white face mimics the Watchers, which it kind of does. It's like, I guess they consider these things like very, I pounded you into the ground, son. But it just seems like they kind of, I don't know, revere these guys. Is that the right word? They kind of want to be them. Now, these mechanical dolls are just strange beyond belief. Like, I'm just looking at them like, I don't know where they came from, why they exist. The first ones in the area don't attack you. These do. The ones with the arrows, and then there's one with a mace later on. I don't know if there's any more with a mace. But those guys attack you. Just are they just guardians, or just there for just to be an enemy? To me, a lot of things like that are meant for a reason, right? Enemy design, enemies in general are there for a reason. Like, these guys are meant to look like Watchers, and they carry around not exactly the same weapons as a Watcher, but they do two-hand weapons like a Watcher. And that kind of makes me think about what the role of a Watcher is in the dungeon. And it seems like they're guarding something. So, is that what these guys are doing? The Watchers always seem to be guarding either treasure or the switch to the boss or something. That's what they always seem to be doing. And then after the Watchers, I think we talked about this the other one, you get the Shadows. I think they called the Shadows. I forgot what they're called now. I had it in the last episode. I talked about them a little bit. They look like the Shadows of Yharnam, but that's not what they were called. Something else. They're called the Keepers, if I remember right. And they're very actually, yeah, they're called the Keepers, and they look like a lot of like the Shadows. And it's just interesting to see all these different races, because the Watchers don't look like the Keepers. The Keepers don't look like the Watchers. The Keepers look more like Shadows of Yharnam, the boss fight, and then in fact, like I said, I play the next hour after this, the next episode, and you find again up here more people that look like the Keepers from beneath the dungeons. Who they are and what they are exactly is not sure. Are the Keepers the Shadows of Yharnam, or the Shadows of Yharnam Keepers? Like, what's going on? Vice versa. Exactly what's happening. This area gets really strange now, because now you got birds with heads, or birds with heads. I think all birds have heads, Chris. I'm an idiot. You get birds with dog heads, and then you get dogs with bird heads. So this is kind of just emphasizing more of the nightmare. You're in a really weird place, trying to make you feel really, really awkward. But we're making our way up here. This is the middle loft area for Murgo. And again, just have we met Murgo yet? Not 100% sure. I was thinking the one reborn could have been Murgo. That kind of makes a little sense, right? If the one if this is Murgo's loft and we had to beat the one reborn to get here, maybe the one reborn again could have been Murgo trying to reappear or whatnot. But there's something about that. Now right here, I believe that is the tower to the Nightmare Frontier. As you can see from here, it doesn't look like there's a lot of sun going on over there. It'd be cool if there was like a beam of sunlight just right on that area. that would have been interesting. But I think that to me looked like the tower where you fight Amygdala at. It was very interesting to see it from over here. Show you how far away we are, but that could have been wrong. Like the Amygdala, or the area with Amygdala, Nightmare Frontier, looked a lot closer when you were in that area to this area. So I could be wrong. I mean, that could have just been a big mountain. I'm very bad at the things in the distance. Couldn't think sails were tops of buildings, and now I'm thinking that. I felt like it was a lot closer now that I think about it when you're at the Nightmare Frontier, and I think that's what I was looking at, and I was like, maybe not. So I might have to look for it again. But it should be around. It should be relatively close. If you can see the Nightmare Frontier, if you could see from the Nightmare Frontier this area, and it didn't seem like that far away, then you should be able to see this area from. You should be able to see the Nightmare Frontier from this area. That was very hard to say right there. I don't know why it was so difficult. There's a lot of mix of words. These dogs with bird heads are assholes, so just be careful with that. I think that's all I got to say about today, because we get into some interesting stuff here after this episode and the next episode. It gets very, very interesting. But I didn't put I didn't put it together because it'd have been like a 2-hour episode, and no one wants to hear me talk for 2 hours. No, but not even myself. I can't stand my voice. I was checking these bodies out because I was like, maybe they have some skin. They're just hooded. I don't know if they're hunters or not, but you get a kin or very high bloodstones from them, which made me wonder exactly what was going on. And then you unlock another shortcut. This whole level is a shortcut, like just a bunch of fucking shortcuts combined. Like I was trying to look out in that area over the bridge, and I don't really see anything. But this is definitely back to the beginning, all the way back to the loft of Murgo. And that is gonna probably be the end of this episode. I think I go back to the Hunter's Dream. I teleport there. Look at this no load time stuff. Man, that'd be awesome if the game did that. God, that'd be sweet. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. It was super fun talking about all this stuff. Again, let's talk about it in the comments if you guys want to. But I am done. Peace out, guys. Later.